Okie doke. So this is my first entry of my weblog. I thought I'd try my hand at doing this. I've been in Tokyo for 7 days now, and yeah, it's been interesting. Man, when I took my flight from Valencia to Tokyo via Madrid and London Heathrow, I was feeling awful. I don't know why, but my body just went ugh. So that by when I got to Madrid in the morning, sort of like 9 a.m, my body was like, I was walking really slowly. And then when I got to Heathrow, security decided to take the pee, and this guy was taking like 10 minutes to search one bag, and my bag was like number 6, and I was like, my gate is closing in 15 minutes, people, please. So anyway, I finally got someone to like check my bag. Of course, there was nothing in it, and I had to run. First, I had to run for the transit train, and then I had to run to my gate. And of course, it was the furthest gate possible from security. So I basically collapsed as soon as I sat down, and I had this horrible fever and headache. So I kind of slept all through the flight. That was the most unpleasant flying experience ever, considering I had like the nicest seat. Like, I was only sitting next to one person. I had a window seat. Poor woman who was next to me, I'm sure she was just like, what the heck is wrong with this girl? Because I was just like, oh, and tossing and turning and all kinds of nonsense. But anyway, so when I got off the flight, my head was like pounding, my bones were aching, and I was like stinking like a sick person. Like, my sweat was all like wrapped under my clothes and my coat. It was awful. So then I just collapsed at arrivals, and then I was trying to figure out how I was going to get to my hostel. When I arrived at like 7 a.m, my hostel check-in was 4 p.m, so I was just like, I'm just going to sit here. I don't care what's happening, I'm just going to sit here. So I sat there for like 2 hours, and then I messaged the hostel, and I went over in a taxi. I was just like, screw this, I don't care if a taxi is double the price. Yeah, I was just going to pay for a taxi, because there's no way I'm walking around the streets of Tokyo trying to find this like random house, especially considering how the address system works here, i.e. I have no idea how it works. So yeah, so that was my like day 1. So day 2 was basically recovering from this fever. Day 3 I had a stonking migraine. Day 4 and day 5 the migraine persisted, and I was like crying a couple of times just because it was insane how painful it was. So anyone who knows that I was taking this trip knows that I was going to go to a place called Nakadaki Art Village, and I kind of found this through Workaway. If anyone knows that website, it's cool. Anyway, long story short, I decided not to go, and probably for the better, because it turns out it's a bit of a shit show. Now, being that I didn't go to Nakadaki meant that I had to stay somewhere and pay. So I stayed in some hostels. I had to move hostel. I stayed in another hostel, women's only, in a cool part of town called Koenji. I like Koenji. It's like small streets, pedestrianized, with like little cafes and restaurants and shops. A lot of Tokyo has these kind of neighborhoods, but Koenji is particularly kind of like a young vibe. So I stayed there for 3 nights, recovering mostly, and then I was like, shit, I need to find somewhere to live, because if I'm staying in Tokyo, I can't keep jumping from hostel to hostel, especially because like they get booked up at the weekend, like in advance, so I'd have to change a lot. So I was like, I don't care, I need to find somewhere to live. So I'm staying at the moment in this international share house. I have a roommate, and when I say roommate, we actually share a room. She's an 18-year-old Japanese girl preparing to go to the US for university, having just finished the latter part of high school in Canada. So she speaks really cool English. She's like totally bubbly, very sort of North American. It's really cool. And in the house there are like 2 French guys that I never really see, a Chinese girl that I haven't seen yet, and there was another Japanese guy, but he's left since. So it's kind of like a share house, but it's organized by this company. It's expensive. For my room, I'm paying 55,000 yen, which I guess is kind of close to 550 euros per month for a shared room. Yeah. eating out is relatively inexpensive, but going to the supermarket, trying to buy fruit, oh my god. There were these grapes, they're like this big. They cost like, I guess the equivalent of something like £4 sometimes. Like £4 for grapes, what the heck? So that's a shock, but I love these grapes, so I keep buying them. And that's probably how on day 7, having come with 100,000 yen, I'm left with 50,000 yen. In 7 days I've used half of my cash, so I need to get to an ATM ASAP. So I'm staying in Tokyo because I'm doing the language course next month. I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's in a place called Shibuya. Shibuya is like the place with the crossing in Lost in Translation, where people cross in all directions, kind of like what they're trying to do in Oxford Circus, but nobody has figured out in Oxford Circus that you can actually go the other direction. You don't have to stay along the roads. But anyway, yeah, so I'm doing the language course in Shibuya, and Shibuya is not too far from Harajuku, you know, like Harajuku. If I had come here when I was between the ages of 18 and 20, yeah, 25, let's not lie, I probably would have loved hanging out in Harajuku with my bright pinkiness, crazy hair, and yeah, like knee-high socks. So I've yet to go to Harajuku, but I will. I'm looking forward to starting the language course, mainly just to meet a bunch of people to go around Tokyo with, because at the moment it's quiet, isolating. Obviously I don't speak Japanese yet, and I'm just kind of like sorting out admin. I got a hanko. Hanko is a traditional Japanese ink stamp with your name, and it's kind of like a signature or a seal. So I got one kind of as a souvenir, but also maybe because I'm going to need it to open a bank account, depending on who I open a bank with. I found the Shivananda Center, which is good. I went to a yoga class, yay, and hopefully we'll be doing some karma yoga with them. So at the moment I'm just thinking that I'm gonna stay in Tokyo until mid-November, when my course ends at the language school, just because it's too friggin' expensive. Accommodation is redonkulous, like I said, like almost 550 euros just to share a room. Are you kidding me? So I'm gonna go to Osaka, probably Kyoto, maybe somewhere else further south as well, as it gets cooler. It's still quite humid here. Maybe my face is shiny from the sweat. It's still quite humid, but it's raining a lot, and I can feel that the weather is changing. So that's all to update at the moment. I have a few plans, like hiking, day trips, this kind of stuff that I want to do that's fun to do by yourself. But maybe I'll also find the dance hall scene in Tokyo. That would be very interesting. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so it's 9:15 on the 16th of September 2016, my day 7 in Tokyo. I hope that's been a pretty concise and comprehensive update.